This is Laugh Out Loud, the podcast. Welcome. I actually did a teaser a couple days ago. I love that it's raining right now, and I just had the truck hand washed today. I did a teaser the other day for our viewers that we don't even have yet. And I said that our daughter mentioned something to you on the way to get your haircut on, I think
Yes.
it was Sunday. And you text me on Sunday something, which we'll mention in just a second here. Surprisingly, we waited 4 days to discuss this for our podcast. I feel kind of on the Real Housewives when they have the girls' trips and do the confessionals later with their husband, and they're, oh my God, on this. And they never waited to tell
Yeah.
them that. Maybe they do so that they can have these kind of real exchanges.
So
Right.
when we went to get our haircut, London, our daughter, mentioned to me all of a sudden out of the blue, we were driving, I was going to get gas. And she said, Mom, why don't you have your ring on you? Where's your ring? And I thought it was really odd because I haven't worn a ring in how long? Year and a half, 2 years?
2 years, maybe.
Okay. So keep saying a year, but obviously in my brain, everything's yesterday. This is the first time that she's ever mentioned that to me. And I literally was caught off guard. I felt like such a fool. All I said was, well, Dad's gay. I wanted to be honest with her and just say, obviously, our marriage has taken a different turn and go into how our relationship is changing and has changed. But I also, there's this level of honesty that you want to have, but then you want to be careful because I know as a 12-year-old, she's already going through her own things, her own life, her own hormones. So I don't want her to be worried in any aspect, whether we're together or not. We have a great partnership, a great best friendship, and that will always happen. So she doesn't have to be concerned whether we wear a ring or not, or whether we're technically married or not. She's always going to have two loving parents that love each other, support each other.
You've had this conversation with her, or this is what you were thinking?
These were thoughts in my brain. These were thoughts in my brain, but I don't want to sit there and
But did the
say,
conversation go like, because all you've said so far is Dad's gay.
I said, remember Dad's gay? And she goes, yes. And she goes, do you even know where your rings are at? Dad definitely doesn't know where his ring is at. London, we both know where our ring is. What?
No, mine is like,
I don't know where this is. Well, yours is nothing, but I go, London, we haven't worn rings in over a year. I didn't know the time, obviously. And I said, are you just now noticing? And she goes, yeah. She goes, never mind. It's okay. I go, do you have any further questions? Can I answer anything more? And she goes, no, I'm fine, Mom. I just wanted to know where your ring was at.
Yeah, I'm surprised. We really do need to talk to her more about that. I mentioned this to my therapist the other day. I said, it's really not okay for me to leave things so open-ended with her. I think it was December 28th when we told her. In fact, I was just listening to the podcast that we did, which caused us to start this podcast, which we can get into. But we were looking forward to telling her in that podcast when I recorded it that day. And so it's funny to think back, how long ago that was. It's now March something. I think initially when we told her, a lot of that was about me selfishly, about going into the new year with not having that baggage, right? And telling her was not the monumental thing that I thought it was. We explained that we were still going to be together, that I kind of remember that fight that we had a couple of years back, which was really one of the only big fights we ever had in our marriage. And she, of course, did. And I think you probably remember her response.
You asked him, had any intuition? And she said, no.
I said, remember that fight we had? Did you ever wonder? Because I said to her that day, we're probably going to get a divorce or something. And then we just never talked about it again. This was back in December. I just thought I'd wait and see what happens. So that kind of actually hurt a little bit because it's like, okay, so you've just been sitting there thinking about that this whole time. So again, fast forward to this now. I came out to her in December. I tried to follow up. I think it was a couple weeks later, right? Just with a little follow up.
Right.
Hey,
Days.
do you have any questions? And she said, no, not really. I don't really have a lot of answers for her either. So I don't know what I would answer, but I think it probably is appropriate for us to sit down really as a family again and have this conversation.
I feel a little bit different because she has mentioned, she's brought one, we talked a little bit recently. I even asked her, hey, I think you had gone to the gym or something. And I asked her, hey, I just wanted to follow up with our conversation. Do you have any other questions? Dad and I are both here to help you through this and answer anything. We definitely don't want you just questioning yourself or anything. So please let us know. And London's funny. She's a funny kid because She doesn't like hard conversations, and she doesn't like to talk about her emotions. And so it's kind of delicate, right? Hate when somebody goes through a divorce or hate when you separate. There are reasons why we don't have a traditional marriage any longer. And I think for us, at least for me, when we talked about you coming out, I wanted to then show her your parents still love one another. Your parents still have each other's back. I wanted to show her instead of talk to her how much we still care and love each other and how much we support each other. And even when we were talking about the ring, I said, Dad and I will always have each other's backs, right? Like we 100% are there for one another. And she goes, I know. I go, yeah, Dad is my life partner and he always will be. She goes,
And Brandi, honestly, that going back to when I made the decision to take my ring off, which you followed suit, it was really to show you that that ring was not the reason that I do everything or had done everything or continue to be a man and supportive of this family and fight for that. It wasn't because of that ring that I was holding on to this or that I wanted you in my life. I just wanted to almost free myself of that responsibility of filling that role of being your husband. And I wanted it to be clear to you that I no longer wanted to have the guilt of keeping you from having need met in your life. I know it was hurtful for you when I took that off, and it was following that big fight that we had. I didn't really explain a lot of things back then. Similarly to what we're showing London now, it was also to show you that I love you and I continue to want to be a good man in your life and will always be that. So anyways, back to London. I think it'll be interesting. We should probably talk to her and see what.
dramatic. You know what I mean? What we are going through, typically what happens is you no longer see eye to eye. You fight and you're just tired of fighting. And that's not what we did. Yes, we did have one big blow up, but that was definitely alcohol infused, unfortunately. And normally, a relationship has always been very kind, caring. Sure, we get in the normal fights or what have you, but we really don't argue or fight that bad, especially now that we don't drink. We don't have that to be influenced. We're very calm with our emotions and are able to talk through it and talk about it. Normally, with a divorce, people have this hatred or this, we just don't have that.
We live in the same house. I couldn't figure out how to do this sitting next to each other without a Willy Wonka stuff. We're very different in that. Like I said in the other podcast that we did, we're also very different in our relationship. And the fact that we live here in Arizona together, we don't have a bunch of family around us. It's me, you, and Lundy against the world. I never wanted to lose that. This is my family. It's my life. It makes me emotional to say that, but I can actually hold it together thanks to Mood Stabilizer. I feared losing that in all this. It was important to me in how we mapped this out. Our journey is a little bit longer than most people's would be, even in a coming scenario. I think we'll find that there's a lot of people that choose to stay married legally for many years. For us, there's not really a rush to get a legal divorce, if you will, but we are in all regards.
Understanding. Yeah. I think that, and that's why it's a little bit different with us, because there isn't that clear cut between you and me. We communicated properly that we essentially no longer have our marriage. What we have is the coolest best friend partnership still, but our marriage is no longer, if I'm being honest and clear. And so for London, I think you and I both share this. We don't need a divorce. Technically, neither one of us are racing to find our soulmate right this second. It's not that we need this clear-cut separation. When she asks me things, it does catch me a little off guard because I can't be clear with her. I still want to protect her innocence. I still want to be protective of how young she is, which is difficult because I want to be honest and open with her, but I still want to acknowledge that she is a teenager and 12 and a girl. And I want to be sensitive to the fact that she doesn't need to know all this adult stuff. All she needs to know is her parents still love her. We're still a family. We will always be a family. Eventually, we'll probably be technically divorced, but in our brains, our marriage is dissolved. And we have formed a new relationship, a new partnership, a new beginning. And to be honest, I couldn't be happier.
And it's fun starting this new chapter with us. And we actually both are kind of having a little bit of a glow up in our 40s together, right? Our 30s, we were pretty bad on ourselves and our body and
It's that.
little things.
No, I just said the reason why it catches me off guard is they always say unclear is unkind. Being clear is kind. Well, our situation, I feel like, is very gray. You and me have a very good understanding. We're very clear with one another and continue to develop this communication. When there is a gray area, you and I will come back together and say, hey, I'm feeling off about this. I'm feeling weird about this. And then we get clear again about our intention and where we're at. That's a little bit harder to explain to a 12-year-old. Hey, yeah, technically, legally, we're married, but technically, we could do whatever we want. Like, that's for a 12-year-old very hard to understand. To a 12-year-old, it's hard to say, your dad and I always will have each other's back. To me, I feel like it's very easy to show her what life we're going to have, how partnerships work, to show her how kind we are to one another. I feel like our relationship has only grown in the best ways since we got clear, since we got open, since we're authentic now. I feel like our relationship has only gone to the next stage in true communication, true partnership, and even more loyal. I've always been very loyal to you, of course. But I feel even more a sense of loyalty. You are definitely my soulmate in a different way. Like, you are definitely my person in this life. You're meant to be in my life. You are meant to be my very best friend. Like I said, the very first day that I met you, you will be my best friend. I don't feel lonely. I don't feel separated. I don't feel any of those feelings because I'm not lonely. I know I have you in my back corner. There's nobody that supports me and loves me more than you. And that to me is the most fulfilling relationship I've ever had.
Anybody coming into your life is going to have tough shoes to fill because I will always take care of you and I will always love you. And you definitely are my soulmate. So I don't remember where we were in this whole story.
We were talking about London. Those are all the reasons why it's very hard when she asks me, hey, where's your ring? Instead of just being blunt or clear and saying, Dad and I are no longer married, which would crush her, I feel, I would rather show her our relationship has changed. She doesn't see us kissing. She sees us hugging. That's great. But she
I
doesn't
never
see.
was. That's probably not very healthy too. We probably need to, I don't know. Yeah.
You're so funny. She's going to be fine. She's going to be great. I didn't see my parents die over each other. Now, they're so cute. They hold hands everywhere, even in their 20s, you know? But what she does see is she sees that her dad takes really good care of her mom and her mom takes really good care of her dad. And those things I always want to show her. I think that in time, obviously, we can explain better detail, but I think that that just comes with age.
Yeah. 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 I mean, we're going to need to prepare some because this house is going to be a hot ass mess when all three of us have a boyfriend.
Oh boy. Oh boy. We're going to be crazy.
All right. Well, I think that was a pretty good sizzle reel. Is there anything else that you wanted to say before our dog barks and ruins the rest of this episode?
No, I think that these are good things to chat about. I feel like even when you're in a marriage, different things that your kids are going to be asking you, it's hard. What do you say? You don't have the answer for everything. But looking back, I still don't know what to say because to us, it's clear I don't want to impact her life like that right now.
Jessica talked about this a little bit on her podcast. Like, do you make it more clear to the outside world and just pretend that the marriage is actually dissolved and that you're divorced just so that other people don't have that same gray feeling and think that it's weird or not conventional or that they just can't make sense of how someone can get along and still have all the shared finances and bank accounts and mutual support and businesses and homes together and all of those things. But in all aspects, as we're saying, have a marriage that's absolved, right?
Well, great point. You say we're in a mixed orientation marriage where I don't feel like we are. Let me explain. The reason why I don't feel that we're in a mixed orientation marriage is if you are in a mixed orientation marriage, that means you're still committed to one another. You're not going to be dating anyone else and you're still loyal and committed. To me, I feel like we're not in a mixed orientation marriage. Legally, we are married and that doesn't really need to change unless we need to race off to get married or what have you. But to us, we're separated. We are not married any longer, partners in life, and we do life together, but we're not in a mixed orientation. We will date other people. And that to me is not a mixed orientation marriage. You don't date other people when you're married.
It might be considered an open marriage, which clearly is not something maybe in that situation, don't frown on it, but
we choose, you and I are both very loyal people in general and wouldn't be okay with an open marriage no matter what. There's no way you would say that you were committed to me and us be with other people. It's going to be hard for you when I start dating somebody anyways, let alone if we had this weird gray mixed orientation marriage. Yes or no?
yeah, I mean, they're going to have to be dating me as well. It's going to be a full crisp process.
We are not going to be a throuple.
What?
That's what will not be happening.
And nobody wants that.
No, we're too jealous. Both of us are jealous people.
We'll have to keep that under. Well, that's also why we do things slow. We're creeping on to year 3 of this new life that we are carving out together. And really, that's actually something that we could talk about. Up to this point, I have not done any of those things. Neither have you, obviously. But for me, being new and being gay in this world, I haven't done any of that. And that is really difficult to think about when my family is so important to me, a cornerstone of my life. As I went through this journey and lost myself, or found myself, I guess I would say, in the last year of therapy and trauma and healing, and thinking about what is my identity? Who am I? What are my core values? They are you in London. It is so much about being a family man, and those things don't have to change. I still care about you as a human. I am invested in you and our growth in our life, and our daughter, those great role models in her life. Those are all things that I still am as a human. I just happen to be attracted to men, and also want you to have a healthy relationship with sex, which you didn't necessarily not have prior to the 10-year dry spell or whatever it was.
It's just, we've been navigating this. I think the challenge that we have found, our situation, we have always been best friends, and that is our foundation. We have such a solid relationship that neither one of us really wanted to admit to the other. That wasn't normal. It wasn't normal not to have a normal sex life. It wasn't normal not to hug. Now we're finally admitting it. The reason why we're taking it slow is because we do have our core values, and that's not the most important thing in our life, although that is important, and we will find that. First, we need to gravitate to our normal foundation and build on this again in this new life. And then we will be able to explore and still go back to our roots and know that we're okay because we've built this awesome foundation.
It also helps in not having the need to run out there and fill your life with somebody, because all those other areas of your life are being met in some way. We just need booty calls or something like that.
That's what somebody else said. They said, you guys should just sleep around on the side and then that's it. Like, oh my God.
When marriage, you weirdos. That's not what we.
I'm saying is, I do want to make that very clear. People can choose to be in a mixed orientation marriage, and that is totally fine. You and I have not chosen to do that. We have chosen to disillude, or is that how you say it?
Let's call to be consciously uncoupled.
Now, I think that it's harder for other people to uncouple us because they're used to seeing you and me together, and they're going to continue to see us together like normal because we've always been best friends. We've really never been husband and wife. I'm not trying to take away from our marriage, so please don't say that. We've always run around like best friends. We've always done things like best friends. That's who we've been. So the outside people really won't see this massive difference because we've never clung on each other. We never had this PDA, but we always like to do the same things. We like to run around. We like to do things. So they're going to continue to see the same similar situation because that's what we are, friends. And I love it.
Yeah, but that's what I was talking about. It's still being so gray to the outside world. Besides us moving into this house and new rooms, that was a big shift in our life. It was a very clear boundaries that we set, and all those things. It was such a monumental change for us, but the entire outside world and the people around us still haven't seen that. We didn't do some kind of social media post on this. And so for most people, like at the gym, et cetera, that were surprised by your podcast coming out, we're still kicking it, hanging out. People are coming to our house. And unless they go upstairs and see that I have my own bedroom, they're thinking that we're still doing the nasty and the master there, which we didn't do and don't do. We clearly have a child, but
Well, I think that for us, I agree with you. Normally, people see this nastiness. People see the nastiness or seeing you move to separate homes and seeing your stuff split up. They're seeing the opposite. We've actually grown our assets. We've grown our stuff together, but we will continue. There's no reason for us to demise financially because we admitted the truth and we are now authentic about the truth. We should still be able to grow and conquer the world and be a powerhouse team because that's who we are. We love to encourage and motivate one another. We are the driving source behind one another that pushes each other, and that will continue to happen. We will still take over the world with each other, arm in arm, like we've always done. There's no reason for us to have this nasty demise just because we've shifted our marriage into a partnership and a friendship.
100%. It's funny. I go back to my original, when I started therapy, there's actually even a post that I did in this Facebook group that I started. My mindset going into this a year and a half or 2 years ago was that I was going to have to lose everything. I was going to go through this nasty divorce. I was going to have to split my assets with you, which are nothing. We were both going to live in apartments. And that very well could have been the outcome. We could have spent our time tearing each other down and living in those separate, segregated lives that do nothing but both bring us down, right? Like you wouldn't have flourished in your career or been able to start a business and be that happy person that you are if you were living in an apartment, fighting with your ex-husband over custody. That would have taken the trajectory of your life in a different direction as well as mine. We chose to double down, take the assets that we have, continue supporting each other. Truly, like you said, being truthful with each other and getting the lies that we were telling each other, specifically myself. I mean, really damaging every day to pretend to be somebody that you're not. But in some ways, you were doing that as well, right?
There's many things I never shared with you, just like what I shared with you last night about the photos. Yeah. So there were many things that you always tease me that I live in this positivity bubble. And I try to because I like to be happy. I have a really hard time with the word depression. To try to not think about the hard things or not think about the negative things. They're so negative in this world. And I really like to focus on the positivity. However, I wasn't facing my truth. I had feelings inside that just weren't coming up.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Well, and you were numbing those with alcohol.
that makes me emotional.
But look at where we are now.
Looking back, I was numbing it with alcohol. I wasn't admitting to myself, Brandi, like obviously there were red flags. Obviously there were things that I felt as a person, but I just love you so much and didn't want anything to ever happen to us. Now that we've changed, I couldn't be happier because we are still best friends. And that to me at the end of the day is the most important thing. To have you healthy and happy and me. And I know that this is how we're supposed to be.
100%. Let's wipe the tears, but this is real. That was killing me inside. That is exactly the guilt that I felt. I knew that you were being blind to those feelings as well. And I had to point that out to you. I had to say, you're obsessed with me. It's all about Marty, Marty, Marty. And it's not about Brandi, Brandi, Brandi. You need to focus on you because we both knew the truth. Everything became about constantly controlling that narrative. So it's great that we are both where we are now and I can support you. I don't have to feel that guilt of knowing that I'm keeping you from anything. You can meet your need however you need. I'm just glad that we can grow the love and the time that we spend loving each other and all of those other channels in life.
I think the people that race out and date somebody or race out and meet people, right? They're missing things in their life. And I feel like with us, although obviously sexually, I've missed that. Every other aspect of our relationship is very fulfilling to me. I love our text. I love our communication, just everything about our relationship. So I think maybe I'm speaking for just myself, but I don't feel this sense of racing out because I'm not feeling this. You've never experienced that. I'm not saying that I will be this way for years. I'm just saying right now, the most important piece is our daughter. This is a challenging time for her with her hormones, with her going into becoming a teenager. This is a really fragile time, especially looking back at my past and my childhood. This was a very crucial time in my childhood. And my dad was very selfish during this particular time. I will not be that way for my daughter. I will put her needs above mine for the next few years. I know that I have limited time with her. The time goes so fast. And in my opinion, I just have such a short time frame that she's going to be under our roof. And to me, chasing another guy just to have sex with them is not on my radar. And those are the reasons why, is because at the end of the day, my needs are being met in every area other than that. And she comes before my need in that aspect, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. And I have felt like the guilt of having a real man, a real husband in your life would be like for you and London. So those are things that I held on to as the years ticked on in our marriage and London grew older. Those are things that I envisioned in my mind that you were kind of missing out on, having that. And not that I'm not this protector, but I'm not.
You already protect us. That's the difference. I don't need a man to come in and rescue me. I'm not broken or anything. People will ask me, well, are you going to date? Obviously, you're in the same boat as me. When they ask me that, I'm not in any hurry. That doesn't mean it won't happen, and we'll cross that bridge when it does. I'm sure we're going to have lots of talks. I think at the end of the day, you and I have done everything.
When you're going to date somebody?
Yeah. No. Well, it's going to have to be a strong person. I don't need anything from them. And I'm not in any shape to want right now.
It's great. And you're going to find the best person because of that. And we're going to make damn sure of it on both ends. So that's great. And I think it's going to be someone that complements our life, or it just won't be. They just need to get along with me, you, London, your mom, Roy, and maybe a few other people, really. Not a whole big family.
I'm just saying that it's going to take some strong men emotionally. Like, we can't be bringing broken people into our family.
That's right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Well, wow, you are Mel Robbins. You came with all this insight. This has actually been fun. It's been real emotion, and I'm glad that we waited to have this conversation. I think we can certainly have a few more episodes on this topic. I would like this podcast to be fun and humorous moving forward. Maybe not tears in every episode.
Well, at the end of the day, going back to the original point, I messed up with London. I don't know why I said that, but that's what I said when she asked me where our rings went. I probably need to have a deeper conversation with her eventually. It's how do you embrace their age and what they can handle emotionally for them? And if you think about it, you never know what type of day she's having, what friends are talking to her, what is happening. When I was a kid, I wasn't thinking about my parents and their divorce. And I didn't think about what they were going through. I was only caring about what was happening with me and my life and my school, my friends, my boyfriend. So they're so ingrained in their little lives that at the end of the day, all they need is love and comfort and safety in their own home, and to feel that they can come to us when they need. And I think she has that. She knows both of us are available at any time. I don't need to go into the nitty gritty and say, well, technically we're not divorced, but we are. And like, she's not going to understand that.
Well, and even about being gay and my whole conversation about continuing that conversation with her, I don't know what to say in those additional touch points. Like, I don't even have those answers to what those things mean. That's something that I have hidden, not explored. And so, like, well, what does that mean? I'm not going to talk to her about sexual positions or who I'm attracted to or what kind of guy. And so really what is said has been said, right? Like, that is gay. I think, I don't know how to continue. Sometimes I catch myself whispering that. The other day we talked about how it is weird to hear people say that out loud still. It's weird for me to admit that and say that out loud still. So I think little things like that, saying those things around her, becoming comfortable discussing things like that. I think even that and those subtle things are probably ways that I can continue just making it a comfortable conversation, if you will.
Forum. Like I said, I feel like as life progresses, those conversations will come up and we're going to show her what has happened. She's seen new friendships forming. She's be introduced to people along the way. She's see things that we're going to have conversations about. And that is how I plan to. Because like I said, she doesn't like to be sat down talking about all these big emotions. That's just not who she is. She's very sensitive. And so I really want to respect that and honor that and ensure that I'm not overwhelming her with things that really don't matter anyways. She doesn't need to be worried if we were sitting there saying, yep, that's right, I'm going on a date, I'm doing whatever, we're going to have to come to that when we come to that, but we're not in those positions. You and I both are not there yet. So when we cross that bridge, we're going to.
This has been super fun. It'll be interesting to share this journey with viewers and see if people resonate with this episode and what we've talked about and how that could open up additional conversations and episodes. I'm sure, like you said, a lot of people who have been through similar scenarios, straight, gay, trans, bi, divorce, all the things that happen, open marriages, people have been through things. This is 2024. And so we really just want to share a little bit of our life with the world. We know that we have gotten a ton of value from people in similar situations sharing with us throughout this journey. We know a dear family, Jessica Frew and team that have opened up and shared their world with us that has helped change our life in so many ways, brought so many amazing women into your life that you've been able to grow from and learn from. That has inspired us to be a part of something like that and share our journey with the world. You are typically a very private person. So sharing even your first initial podcast with Jessica was something that not everybody in your life took well. People didn't understand why you chose to do that so publicly. I think it's amazing that you're willing to share this. I've always wanted to be famous. So clearly I have no problem throwing myself out there, and you will shut me up long enough for people to want to listen to something. We hope that you like what we've put out there and recorded for you. You can find out more about our podcast by clicking the link below, even though you say not to do that, Brandi, and it's Loud Out Laugh, the podcast. So join us for future episodes.